All right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. Tonight we kick off our Champions League coverage as Roma take on Valerenga. Unfortunately, a little bit of an ad hoc setup for us this evening. Normally, this stream laptop will be nowhere near me on screen. It'll be over there for us to handle everything. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi's gone down over there, so we've only got access to this device because it's hardwired into the Wi-Fi. So a bit of an ad hoc stream, but we are live. And I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be a good one this evening. Two sides who are going to be on the fringes you would expect of being in either the knockout zone or in the playoff zone. So there's a lot of competition between these two sides tonight. And we've got a Roma side who I've been very impressed with in the opening few weeks. I think despite those tough results, Valerenga side, very impressive in the opening few weeks. They've had some tough fixtures in there, but they've fought hard. Roma have looked good coming forwards, but slightly suspect defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on this evening. So it's going to be a good matchup between these two sides. And hopefully we can have a fairly smooth stream throughout. And welcome everyone that is hopping into the live chat. HP, welcome to the stream. Says, evening all, gave the CBS a lot of listen and they just don't get it, man. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But yeah, so we will be live this evening. Hopefully everything goes about as well as we can expect. Typically now the Wi-Fi is now showing me as working, which is just my luck. But that should mean at least I can put the live chat on my phone so I can see what you guys are saying during the game. But yeah, how are we all doing this evening? We will get the lineups in just a moment. And Roma, the home side this season, will be interesting to see how they handle that pressure. But so far this Champions League season hasn't been the Champions League campaign they would have expected because they faced Real Madrid, they faced Barcelona. Two tough games, admittedly. Neither really went to plan. A lot of goals conceded so far this season for us at Roma, but they've done really well in the Serie A Femminile, and that is something to remember. They are, of course, a very strong side domestically. So the question is going to be, can they translate that now to the European stage when they face tonight an opponent in Valerenga who are very good defensively. They're a very strong defensive unit. That's going to be the big test for them this evening. But we have now, I think, got the lineups up, although they are on the wrong site. Hang on, give me a second, then we'll get into it. This is a bit of a late stream as well. We have only got 5 minutes until kickoff, but yeah, rising up to the streams this evening. Some good games this week. Absolutely. We've got some competitive fixtures coming our way. We've got, obviously, today, Bayern-Lyon following this game. And these two, I think, will both be very tight fixtures. And then later this evening, we've got a very interesting... tomorrow we've got Bayern versus Arsenal. And then we've got Manchester United PSG. So some big games involving the English clubs as well. But yeah, typically, this is the night where the Wi-Fi decides it doesn't fancy it. Hopefully now I should be able to get stream chat on here so I can see what you guys are saying as well, without having to flick between streams. But yes, welcome to the live chat, everyone, in terms of put your predictions in the live chat as well. Getting in the poll in chat, Roma and Valerenga will be a good game this evening. Right, let's get the lineups for this evening's match up first. Both sides searching for their first point in the Champions League group stage tonight should make it even more competitive. We'll start with the hosts. Roma, it's a 4-3-3 for the side from the Italian capital. In goal, it's Baldi, a back four of Bergamaschi, Oladipo, Heatley and Vea. Katrina Vea, former UWCL player, of course. In midfield three is Captain, Giuliano, Rijka and Katarina Kuhl. And then Pilgrim, Vines and Harvey, the front three. Pilgrim did score in the opening game week against Real Madrid, and while that wasn't the perfect game for Roma, it was a start to the Champions League campaign. It will be interesting to see whether they can kick on. As for Valerenga, 3-4-3 for them this evening. In goal, it's Captain Emblom, a back three of Horta, Kovacs and Eriksdottir. Across the four, then Hansen, Brecken, Vikius and Tenebo. And a front three of Hogg, Savek and Tvedsen. Interesting time for Valerenga, a lot of Denmark internationals in that side, or Norwegian internationals, sorry. A mixture of the both, I believe. And it's a competitive side. I'd be interested to see if that front three can hurt Roma tonight. We've seen the rate that Roma have been conceding goals at. If they can really impact on Roma's frailties, that is where they can be hurt this evening. Roma, looking at how their backline hasn't really performed well in the first few games of the Champions League. They have been better domestically, of course, but that isn't always an indication that it will go well for them on the Champions League stage. It hasn't gone well for them so far. We are now getting Wi-Fi back again, apparently. In fact, I may even be able to get the game on the big screen, which would be ideal. So do bear with me. We have only got a minute till kickoff, but I do have backup options if the TV doesn't work. But it's just one of those evenings where Champions League coverage is on and typically nothing is going to plan right now. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you are just tuning in, Roma versus Vålerenga this evening. Let's get into some predictions for the game then. If you're watching along, get your score prediction in the live chat. Make sure to vote in the poll as well. But I'll start with my prediction. I think it will be a Roma victory this evening. I think it will be close, but I'm going to say Roma to beat Vålerenga. I think the home advantage will help them, and I think they will just edge it. I've got to make sure not to watch this with the sound on. If not, I will be done by UEFA, which won't be ideal. But there we go. Right, we have now got coverage, and I think it's all working. So, welcome everyone. Roma versus Vålerenga now kicking off here. And that is typically, again, when the Wi-Fi decides to kick in. But yeah, should be a good one. John Tarson wants the stream going 3-0. HB saying 3-1 Vålerenga. Fair enough. A lot of strong predictions towards the visitors. I think it will be a Roma victory. I think it will be tight, though. And what did I say? I've already given a prediction. I honestly cannot remember. My brain's fried from not being in the usual setup, but I am going to say 2-1. I think Roma's defence has still been quite poor this season in the Champions League. I think that will continue, but I think they will get to winning ways. I think they are a stronger side than Vålerenga. I think players like Giuliano, players like Pilgrim will step up and then be able to perform for Roma this evening. So, yeah, I think they'll be all right, but it will be a tough game. Vålerenga are a very decent side. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you, 55 people watching in the live chat right now. Considering this is quite an ad hoc setup for the live stream, I very much appreciate that. And Emre Kavak, welcome to the stream as well. Taylor, welcome. Says big up the chat. Big up the chat indeed. Thanks everyone that's hopping in to this live stream. And yeah, hopefully we are tracked to a good game. Remember, this is the first of 2 live games this evening. Following this will be Lyon taking on Wolfsburg, 2 giants of the women's game, 2 sides who'll be hoping to return to the top of the game in the near future. And, well, obviously, Lyon a little bit closer this season with Jordan Grades at the helm, and that will be a good game following the conclusion of this match. So a nice double stream to get into this evening. And then, of course, make sure to join us tomorrow for another double header. That's how the Champions League nights go. For anyone asking how to see the stream, it's on Disney Plus if you want to watch the game. If you can't watch it, if you don't have Disney Plus, can't watch the game, then feel free to watch along with me here. We'll be going through all of the action, commentating over the action. So if you can't find a way to watch the game, this might be your next best option. Welcome everyone hopping into the live chat. 54 votes now in the polling chat. 81% backing Roma to win this evening. 15% though still going for Vålerenga, and then 4% backing a draw. Thanks everyone that's got involved in the poll. And keep those votes coming in as we get underway. But yeah, we've still got a few more predictions. Robson Santos saying 2-1 Roma. Riser, strange not to have you on the Chelsea stream. Yeah, true. I just want to cover the biggest game this evening, which is Wolfsburg-Lyon, but I will be keeping tabs, of course, on that other match. And now, as we are about to get underway, it is Vålerenga who get us started in this game. Savic from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle, who's just doing her final checks. And now Savic from the middle knocks it back, and we're underway in this game. Roma versus Vålerenga in the Women's Champions League match day 3. Who will come out on top in this Champions League clash? Well, it's a game both sides could really do with winning. Neither side has scored a point yet in this year's edition of the competition. And that would be, of course, a vital point at this stage. Let's put themselves back in contention. And it's Roma coming down the left-hand side. Giuliano pass back inside to Harvey. That combination hasn't quite come off, though. And that is out now for a Vålerenga throw, I should say. But I think for Vålerenga tonight, they've just got to upset Roma the best they can, really. And if we've watched, from what we've seen of Roma so far this competition, they are quite a leaky defence. But Roma are a good side coming forwards, and they are now. Here is Harvey looking to cut inside. Does take aim. Not a bad effort. Tipped wide well by Blom. Reacts well to that shot. Now Pilgrim. Bergamashi puts it in the box. And it's blocked away well, and there is an offside call in there. That will be a Vålerenga free kick. So an offside call there in the move there for Roma. Pilgrim deemed to have gone into an offside position. But Roma starting faster then in this game, already looking to impose themselves on their opposition. Not sure where the offside call came from, because Pilgrim appeared to be very much onside. So I think that's a little bit of a strange decision there from the officials, but there we go. And it will be Valerenga to get us back underway from this free kick. A game of headers is won well by Vicius in there. One back though by Giuliano. Now looks to play out to the right hand side, looking for Pilgrim on the overlap, who's blasted past the centre back. Now looks to cut inside. Can she get a shot away? Blocked really well there by Horta, who fired her all the way. But that was a good move for Roma. Pilgrim getting down the right hand side, bursting here past Horta. Looked dangerous, but it was a good recovery from the centre back. And Elia Pilgrim already showing the danger she can pose tonight on the shoulder of the defender. And yeah, Roma looking sharp on HP, already wanting to change their prediction. Fair enough. Already not happy with how Valerenga have started. It has been all Roma as they put the ball into the box. That header, though, a fairly comfortable claim for Emblem. And now Valerenga can look to play out. And it's rolled out to the right-hand side to Erik Stotten. We'll see a replay there. Just not the contact the Vines would have wanted from it. Giuliano putting pressure on the ball. Nice work, though, from Brecken here to resist the press. And rides that challenge well. And there is going to be a free kick in there, as no advantage was made. Here is Horta. Now on the left-hand side with Tenebo. Interesting as well to see Tenebo in that sort of wing-back position. We've seen her in central midfield as well for Valerenga this Champions League campaign. And then trying to go a little bit more direct there into Hansen. Doesn't quite come off, and that will be a Roma goal kick. If you feel for Roma, there's a lot of expectation or a lot of weight on them coming into this year's edition. And we've not seen an Italian side compete at the top echelons of the European game for a while now. So there is that sort of pressure on Roma or Juventus to step up and be the club representing Italian football. Here is Vines, out now to the left-hand side, Giuliano. Great pass as she finds the wide player here. It's Harvey on the ball. Wants to take on Hansen, will go out wide, looking to cross in from the byline. That's blocked out for a Roma corner. And already Roma showing their quality in the early stages. They've had more of the ball, more of the chances so far. Haven't been able to do anything with them though. Right, so I'm going to join Pilgrim tonight. She looks lively. Yeah, she looks on it. I think if she can start putting away those chances, start showing that promise, and she could be incredibly dangerous. Ball into the box now. Chance for Roma. Big save from Emblem. And I believe it was Riker, the central midfielder, who rose highest and headed towards goal. Good stop, though, from the Valerenga keeper. And now they'll look to play out Kovacs. Now Horta. Pass inside to Kovacs. And now to Eriksdottir. Knocks it down the line. That's a good ball. Not sure how much Hegg knew about it, though. He's still competing for the ball. And a little bit of a mess there, but Roma do see it back well to Baldi. And now they'll just settle into their shape. Yeah, a little bit of a nervy moment there for the Roma backline. And here is Katrina Ver looking to carry it down the left-hand side. Knocks it up the line. One back by Eriksdottir, then smash back forwards. And now here come Rover. It's Harvey. Has Pilgrim in support as well. Looks to go alone here, Harvey. Now out wide. Takes a shot. Blocked well by Kovacs, and it'll drop for Tveten. Or Brecken, sorry. Just getting it clear well. Good hold up from Savic. Dominated though by Rika. Here come Roma. Harvey again though, and her cross is blocked. And that's out for another Roma corner. But it's been all Roma so far. The hosts dictating the game to this point. And a corner now for AS Roma. So from the far side. And they've already challenged from the previous corners. What can they do from this one? They've got those aerial threats in the box. Giuliano over this then. Puts it in towards the near post. Headed away well. Put back into the area and actually back over the bar from Emile Harvey. And she would have wanted to do better with that one. That was a real chance to put more pressure on Valerenga, who have been under the cosh in the opening moments here, but wasted by Emile Harvey. And so Valerenga now to play out from Emblem, who looks to go long with this one. And while the players just seem to keep getting further away from her, the ball does go long now out to the left-hand side. Header won well by Katarina Kuhl. Drops now for Horta, and it's back up in the air, unopposed now. And Bergamaschi heads it away. Vicius headed on well by Tvedsen. Here is Sivek. Sivek still holds on to the ball well. Tvedsen, Vicius. Now Horta. Across to Kovacs. Back to Horta, who's got forward options. Forced backwards, though, well by the press. Exactly what Katarina Kuhl was aiming to do there. Ball now down the line. That's going to look to release Hegg on the right-hand side. Can she make something happen? Oladipo keeps up with her, though, and that's some really good defending. Out low for a Valerenga corner. And this will allow the Norwegians to keep pressure on Roma. Or put pressure, really, for the first time in today's match. And that's exactly what they've got to do. We've seen Roma's defence crumble. They conceded already quite a few goals in this competition. And they'll be hoping to shore up defensively, especially in today's game when you would consider Roma as slight favourites. But it's a Valerenga corner now. Ball delivered into the penalty area. Vicius was the intended target, headed away comfortably though by Bergamaschi. And now out again to be delivered towards the back post. Horta was there. It drops for Savek, who should do better. And Horta heard the call, left the header. It dropped for Savek. Karina Savek's got to hit the target there for me. Hansen did well to keep this move alive. They've all swung to the back post. Savek would have been in offside position. I don't believe it was given though. Pilgrim. Wheatley. Now Bergamaschi. Nice pass inside. Kuhl caught in possession though. And here is Tvedsen, who wants to make something happen. And Katarina Kuhl wins it back and then stops it going for a corner. Here's Pilgrim. Good hold up. One back well by Tvedsen. Pass down the line looking for Tanebo. One back well though again by Bergamaschi. And now it's sent up the line. Vicius brings it down. Quite a fiercely contested battle at the moment. And that is out off of Horta and out for a Roma throw. But yeah, lively start for both sides really. Roma started quicker, but Valerenga starting to ease their way or force their way back into the game. Bergamaschi. Throwing down the line. Hold up from Vines. Should have been better. And it's one back in there by Bracken, who is under pressure. Horta. Now Kovacs. Knocks it into Vicius, who has the wide option. Hansen on her right-hand side. Opts to go back instead to Eriksdottir. Now pass inside to Bracken. Vicius down the line. Cuts out well by Katrina Vea. And now Wheatley. Out to the left-hand side. Vea. Oladipo. And now it's back to the goalkeeper, Baldi. Who's tentative in where she wants to play this ball. Hesitates somewhat. Does now send it forwards. Vines. Great hold up. Kept alive by Kuhl, who knocks out to the right-hand side. Horta wins the aerial contest. Drops now for Tanebo. Pass forward into Tvedsen. Back to Vicius. And now Valerenga will settle on the ball once more. Kovacs. Horta. Back to Kovacs. Who again will weigh up her options. Now out to the left-hand side again with Horta. Has options down the line and will use them on this occasion. Tanebo does well to keep that under her. Control the ball a little bit ahead of her. Here's Savek. Pass it around the corner. Tvedsen lifting it in behind. Oladipo will get there under pressure though from Hegg. And her clearance is blocked and out now for a Roma throw. But They're doing well at the moment, Valerenga, just to put that Roma backline under pressure on both sides of the ball, really, as Roma look to play out. Valerenga are quick to press. And when Valerenga come forwards, they do look genuinely dangerous in these early stages. And that's exactly what they need to do. Put Roma under pressure. Believe they can get something from this game. O'Reilly, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Says evening to me and the chat. Thank you. But yeah, Valerenga, they've impressed me with their Champions League performances. We watched them a few weeks ago against Wolfsburg. And in that match, they deserved at least a point, you felt. They were strong defensively there, good coming forwards. Wolfsburg, it has to be said, weren't impressive on the evening. They've got a big test ahead of them tonight against OL Lyonnais. But Valerenga, they've had opportunities of points. They were so good again against Manchester United in that first match week. And that's two of their tougher opponents that they held their own against. And you'll feel that this is the kind of game that if they could nick something, that could lead to them getting into the playoffs. Here come Valerenga forwards again. Strong tackle from Oladipo to recover the ball, though. And now they look to play out. Giuliano can't quite hold on to it in that tight space. And both sides searching for space to move the ball. It's one back by Kjol, who looks to knock it in behind. And Vines now bearing in on goal for Roma. Eriks Dotter gets back in. Vines waits for support. Knocks it back now to Harvey. Back to Vines. Puts it into the area towards the back post, but it's Horta who rises highest, and now Valerenga could look to break away. Savek does well to hold off the challenge there of Wheatley. And she'll drive forwards now. Great drive. Knocks it past Oladipo. She's in behind. Wheatley gets back in really well and passes it to Katrina Weyer. Wheatley again. Really impressive recovery there from Wheatley. Was in a tough spot with Savek driving towards goal with purpose, but got back in and recovered it well. Here is Oladipo. Bergamaschi. And now Wheatley. Bergamaschi knocks it down the right-hand side. Here's Pilgrim. And Elia Pilgrim here wants to be dangerous, wants to be threatening, driving the ball forwards towards the Valerenga backline. Valerenga retreating quickly. Here's Kjol. Weyer, now Harvey. And pass back now to Oladipo. Frank Julian, welcome to the stream, says Roma win and 2.5 goals. I could definitely see it. If you look at a lot of the predictions in the live chat, though, it has been split between a Roma and a Valerenga win. Ryan says, I can never tell if Roma are good or not. Offensively, they seem good. Defensively, it's a bit of a shambles. Yeah, I think based on their games so far, though, it's hard to get a read because they've played two really decent sides, especially two really decent attacking sides in Real Madrid and Barcelona. And obviously Barcelona, one of the top teams in the world, arguably the best team in the world, if that is even an argument. And Real Madrid, well, they're very good coming forwards. I don't think they're a top team, but they are very good coming forwards. Ball out to the right-hand side, headed forwards by Pilgrim. Headed away well by Horta. Here is Bergamaschi. Into Kjol, back towards Bergamaschi. One back by Vicius. And now Valerenga looking to come forwards. Unable to do so, though. As that's cut out really well again by Rijka. But yeah, I do agree. I think it's difficult to get that read on Roma. This will be a good test. They've played two really tough games so far. So if they win this, suddenly, you know, I think they go up in my estimations. If they lose this, then I think they're in a bit of trouble. Whereas for Valerenga, it's probably, because they're not the favourites in this match, it's probably 50-50 on, you know, even if they win, even if they lose this, as long as they lose this respectively, I think I still would consider them quite a decent side. I think they've given a game to every team they've faced this season in the Champions League. And they've already faced some tough opponents, Valerenga. Manchester United as a pot 3 side is really difficult because that is not a fair reflection of how good that side is. And then, of course, any side in pot 1 is going to be difficult, as Wolfsburg proved. And Valerenga probably deserved to win that match. Right, says best team in the world when they only managed a measly 8-0 win at the weekend. Yeah, that's uncomparative though, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't say a Sunday League side is the best in the world because they won 8-0. Like, yeah, I'm not doubting Barcelona are an incredibly good side. I would say they're the best in the world, but I wouldn't consider their Liga F results to play any part in that. But yeah, Valerenga, travelling fans there, given some plaudits by Disney Plus or ESPN, I should say. I mean, it's on Disney Plus, so I can't count that as the broadcaster. But yeah, Baldi sending it forwards. Flicked on well by Giuliano, but that does take it away from Vines. And it's one back now by Valerenga. Eriksdottir. Now, Kovacs. If you are just joining the stream, we're only 16 minutes in, no goals yet. So if you haven't got a prediction in the live chat yet, feel free to drop your scoreline prediction in the live chat. Let me know. Here is Kovacs. Now Brecken. Horta. Lifting it in behind. Good ball, but it's cut out well by Wheatley. And the ball forwards. Coming to nothing there for Roma, but Valerenga have kind of got Roma's tails up here a little. They're certainly a lot deeper than they were, a lot more passive in the press. Elper predicting 1-1 at half-time. That'll be a very quick start to this game, but both sides have had chances. Horta. Now in to Tenebo. Does really well to get away from Pilgrim there. Now wants to come inside Tenebo. Shifts it across into Brecken, who could look to strike it and does, but she's got behind that too much and lifts it over the bar. Just need to go over that a little bit more. Direct it towards the goal. Just gets under it. Sends it over. And now that will be a Roma goal kick. Roma already looking towards their subs bench then. So you would assume this is some sort of injury or fatigue concern. Bergamaschi, now Heatley. Cross to Oladipo. Back now to Baldi. Heatley. Bergamaschi. Looking for the forward options, knocks it down the line. Here's Pilgrim. Tries to get the flick on there again, doesn't quite come off for Roma. Tenebo. Here is Vicius. Ryan says, where is Harry? He is refereeing this evening. So Harry's not here, but he will be back tomorrow. So it's just me this evening, and of course that is when the technical difficulties tend to happen. Tenebo plays the pass forward into Tvedson, looking for Savic, doesn't quite come off. And now Roma looking to break away. Giuliano knocks it down the line. Vines now coming forwards for Roma. Can she get a shot away? Drives the shot well over the bar. And she did well to get the lift on that, but couldn't quite find the target. And she there is adamant that that took a deflection. The referee doesn't agree, but we'll have a look now at the replay. It's tough to tell from that angle whether that has indeed come off Eriksdottir or not, and it's even more difficult to see off that angle. Actually, I believe the conversation may be whether that was a save, which it may have been actually. Change now for Roma. Dragoni on for Emily Harvey. So Giulia Dragoni coming on. An early change there, you would assume a forced change for AS Roma. Because Harvey didn't look too bad to start this game. And I can't imagine that Rossatini would be wanting to make changes in the 20th minute. So you'd assume some sort of injury there for Emily Harvey. Out to the right-hand side now for Valerenga. Hansen can't quite onto that ball, as it's a strong challenge from Giuliano, but then Giuliano gets caught in possession. Oladipo does well there to clear up the mess, and that is out for a Valerenga throw. Bit lackadaisical there from Giuliano. Did really well to fight and win that ball back, but just somewhat absent afterwards. Here is Savic, wants to take on Oladipo. Good win from the centre-back. Savic thinks it's a foul, been given though as a corner, which they can use now to put Roma under pressure. Frank Julian says goals. Not yet. Still 0-0 in this game, and unfortunately we have no other Champions League games to keep tabs on at this time. We will have 2 3 Champions League games later this evening. Of course, the headline of those, OL Lyonnais taking on Wolfsburg. We will be keeping tabs on the other fixtures. Chelsea in action against SKN St Pölten. Twfc now delivers it in towards the far post. Horta sends it towards goal. Flicked on there at the near post. Not quite able to find the target there was Hegg. Nice routine though. Horta heads towards goal and Hegg there just trying to flick it over the keeper. But couldn't quite keep it under the bar. Don't mind that though from Valerenga, trying something a little bit different in there. And the goalkeeper, Baldi, couldn't really, well, wouldn't have been able to deal with it if that was on target. She was offside though, I believe, so that goal would have been disallowed by VAR. Ball down the line now, looking for Vines, cut out well by Eriksdottir. Sending it forwards, headed away well by Oladipo, only as far though as Vicius. Savic. Back now to Eriksdottir, here's Kovacs. Into Vicius, who knocks it wide into Hansen. Hansen wants to go one more into Hegg. It's blocked well though by Katrina Weyer. Katrina Weyer, by the way, relegated last year in the Women's Super League with Crystal Palace, now playing Champions League football with AS Roma. Incredible how different 4 months, I guess, or a little bit longer than that actually now, but about a year, I guess you could say, makes. What a difference it makes. But yeah, here is Kovacs. As Valerenga look to build out from the back, Horta. Back to Kovacs. And back again to Horta. Breckham. Into Tenebo. Pass across into Vicius. Nice pass forward into Savic. And now out to the right-hand side. Here is Hansen. Wants to take on Vega. Sorry. And does now beat her down the line. Ball into the box. It's blocked by Katrina Weyer. And Valerenga now with another corner. And we already saw them threaten a moment ago. Will Roma deal with them more diligently on this occasion? And that is... Oh, enjoying there the massive Roma... Oh, the massive Roma flag being flown by one of the home supporters. Valerenga now with the corner. Positive start, or positive reaction, I think, from Valerenga. This ball not quite as good as the first. Cleared away well by Katrina Kuhl. Pass around the corner from Bracken, doesn't quite come off, does keep fighting away for possession. Oladipo smashing it into the home support. And that's out for a Valerenga throw. On the right-hand side, Hansen. A lot of movement ahead of her, goes into the feet of Hegg, back to Hansen, one back by Giuliano, out though for a throw, and that will be a Roma throw. Much the frustration there of Hansen. Roma just haven't really got control at this stage in the game. They started sharp, they had opportunities, but since about the 8th minute, I think Valerenga have probably been the better side. And it feels quite reminiscent of a lot of the Valerenga performances so far this season. Fleeting moments for these bigger sides, but for most of the game, Valerenga are very good at keeping them penned in, very good at keeping them quiet. They're a very regimented and disciplined side. Tenebo trying to poke it forwards. One back well in there by Rika. Bergamaschi. Now Dragoni. Knocks it back to Oladipo. And now Katrina Weyer. Plays it forwards into Giuliano. Knocks it down the line, looking for Pilgrim, who takes aim here from range. Straight down the throat, though, of Emblem, who has no issues claiming that one. But Elia Pilgrim looking to be dangerous there, cutting inside, releasing it on the right foot. But saved well by Emblem. Yevhen Rybelchenko, welcome to the stream, predicting either a 2-0 or 2-1 Roma win. Fair enough, that mirrors my prediction. I went 2-1 Roma. Though to be fair, watching how Valerenga have responded to that early pressure from Roma, I maybe sway the other direction. Ball sent up the line by Eric Stotte. Oladipo heads it down. Here is Rika. Now Vea. Oladipo. Out wide into Katrina Vea, who does really well there to carry the ball forwards out of pressure. Here is Dragoni. Strong challenge in there, front of Edson. And that is over the line there. Was brushing between abrasive and tenacious and just slightly too aggressive with that one. Here is Giuliano. Now Vea. Giuliano. Across now into Heatley. One more pass into Bergamaschi and they're into the wide space. Now back to Heatley. Oladipo. Interesting already to see how Roma have shifted. So Harvey started on the left-hand side with Pilgrim on the right being that inside forward. Now Pilgrim on the left wing, expected to hold the width. Here is Vines. Can take aim from range, blocked well by Kovacs. Not dealt with well enough by Valerenga, but now they can try and play out. One back on the pitch by Rika. Can she get a shot away or pick out a teammate? It's blocked well. Drops again for Giulia Dragoni. Now Katrina Vea. Oladipo. Across to Heatley. Now Bergamaschi carries it forwards. Heatley. Lifting it towards Vines, and that will bounce all the way through to Emblon. And now Valerenga can build out from the back. Kovacs. Now Horta. Here is Tvedsen. Savic back to Tvedsen. Horta. Tvedsen. Plays it down the line. Tenebo into Savic. And there's a foul there. Tenebo caught late in the challenge. And while Valerenga did have possession, the referee decides there was no advantage. And yeah, Bergamaschi just a little bit late in her attempts to win back the ball there. A justified free kick. Ibrahim going 1-1 with the prediction. Fair enough. I could definitely see both sides scoring in this game. Tenebo still down here. Treatment isn't responding rapidly. And now we do see medics arrive to our aid. But yeah, Valerenga with a free kick. And Roma just using this stoppage as an opportunity to have some constructive conversations about what's not quite going right so far this game. But yeah, that was late from Bergamaschi. Surprised she avoided going into the book for that one. And the Valerenga coach will also use this stoppage as a chance to get a message to Vicius. And yeah, Tenebo seems to be in some discomfort. And Harvey is on the bench, and there just seems to be a bit of a discussion happening there between Luca Rossatini and his staff as to what's actually gone on there. But it does seem to be just a knock for Emily Harvey. Nothing serious. Hasn't gone down the tunnel, but did have to be withdrawn after 20 minutes. Free kick now for Vålerenga. Tenebo will stay off the pitch for the moment. Tvedsen delivering in towards the far post. Headed in the air. Chance now, but Baldi is there to react. And Roma can settle in possession. I think Vålerenga would have wanted to do more with that. They're threatened aerially so far this game. Already in this game, but not able to do so on that occasion. Vines can't quite get the flick on. Drops for Katarina Kuhl. One half the pitch here by Tvedsen. Savic. Now Tvedsen. Tries to turn on the ball. Can't quite manage it. Brecken. Nice turn there from Savic, who's dragged down. And that will be a Vålerenga free kick. Oladipo there. went for the ball, but just slightly misjudged what Savic was going to do as she used Oladipo to roll in behind. Oladipo came through her in the process, so free kick again for Valerenga. And they'll be hoping they can do more with this than they did with the last. And again, it is Tveten over it. And having a conversation here with Horta about how to make the most of this opportunity. So Roma preparing to deal with this free kick. Tveten, the player, squaring up over it. Referee blows a whistle. Tveten can take. Steps up. Lifting it towards the back post. Horta will get there, headed across the face of goal. Oladipo, though, reacts quickest. Good defending there to get in front of it. And now Savic looking to keep it alive. Here's Tanebo. Can get it back into the penalty area. Lifting the ball into the box. Headed away. And that will be a Valerenga corner. Yeah, already there, Valerenga. We saw them considering their options on that free kick. Horta making that back post run. Trying to head it back across the face of goal. But Oladipo knew what was coming and was in the position to deal with the danger. So Valerenga now, and as I say, their biggest threat has come from these set pieces. And they've got another one now, and it's Tveten over it once again. Tveten lays it flat this time, and Katarina Kjell can get it clear. Tanebo now will respond, lifting it into the box. Good delivery, headed towards goal, and Heatley almost puts it in her own net. Chance for Valerenga. Can they get it over the line? No. How have they not done that there? How have they not scored? Tanebo's recovery back into the box, headed towards goal. Heatley towards her own goal onto the post. A mad scramble, and Savic can't quite put it in the back of the net before Baldi gets down and reacts. Crazy moment, and here come AS Roma. Here's Giuliano. How is that not in? Ball into the box now. Vines heads on. Tanebo's there to deal. Katarina Kjell blocked again. And now Valerenga looking to break away, but it's stopped by Bergamaschi, and that will be a Valerenga throw-in. But yeah, how has that not gone in? Great header. I believe it was Horta in there. And then no one could quite just stick it in the goal for Valerenga. Savic loses out. Here are Roma. One back high up the pitch. Vea. Oladipo. Sham says, did you say Dragoni is playing? Yeah, Dragoni came on as a substitute for Emily Harvey. Nice pass down the line from Giuliano, looking for Pilgrim. One back well, though, by Hansen. And now Hegg. Good pressure from Giuliano, knocks it out of play. So that will be a Valerenga throw-in. Medina Muradova says, will it be over 2.5? No idea. If I knew, I could make a lot of money in gambling. But I don't. Now, at our prediction, I think there will be goals in tonight's games. The Champions League games this season have all been fairly high scoring. Today, though, these two sides are evenly matched. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a 1-1, so that could fall short of that 2.5. Kovacs. Really could go either way. I guess that's why they call it a gamble. Emblom out to the left-hand side. Here is Horta. Vicious. Horta. Back now to Kovacs. And she looks to carry it forwards now. Out to the right-hand side. Eriksdottir. Lifting it in behind. Now bounce all the way through to the goalkeeper, Baldi. Jorge Oliver says Dragoni is a flop. I think that's a little harsh. She's still only, what, 18? She's still incredibly young. I don't think you can write her off just yet. But it doesn't surprise me to hear you do so. Yeah, 19, sorry. Still, remarkably young. Has 3 goals in 3 starts in the Serie A Femminile this season as well. Still a player I think could go on to do great things in the game. Oladipo. Back to Baldi, now Oladipo. Heatley. Pass down the line from Bergamaschi, now Katarina Kuhl. Shifts it inside well. To Dragoni, lovely pirouette from Giulia Dragoni in there, now Kuhl. Shams asks, who is your favourite Italian player? Mine is Sofia Cantore. I'd be torn. I loved watching Italy at the Euros. Mine would either be, I really like Di Guglielmo, really like Cristiano Girelli, just an icon of the game. For me, though, it'd either be Ariana Caruso or Manuela Giuliano. I just love a diminutive technical player, personally. Savic. Now Pilgrim. And that has hit her arm. Feased at her a bit by Giuliano, and that will be a Valerenga free kick. Sham says, I'm actually disappointed that Jonsdottir decided to play in the NWSL. Yeah, I think it's only disappointing though because I don't watch the NWSL loads. We did think about doing the NWSL playoffs, but they clash with the WSL next weekend, and so we'd only be able to do the final. And then we could do it, but it's 1 AM and we have got stuff on in the other days. But yeah. Ball forwards, one back by Oladipo. Roma trying to drive that ball forwards, one back by Horta. Tonebo. Now back to Horta. Plays it through the lines. Lovely control from Savic that she can't quite keep on her feet. And now here come Roma. Oladipo out to the left-hand side. Pilgrim looks to come inside. Lays it to Vines, back to Pilgrim. Now Dragoni on the edge. Chance for Rika. Tries to lay it out to the left-hand side. And Roma just seemed to get too many players and nobody wanted to shoot. Everyone just ran into the penalty area. And nobody actually wanted to release an effort. Here is Oladipo. Katrina Vea. Now Heatley. Bergamaschi back to Heatley. Oladipo. Vea. Pilgrim. Now Katrina Vea. Shams has 1 AM UK for the final. Damn. Yeah. I mean, if there's enough demand for us to cover NWSL, absolutely would. It's just, I don't want to end up streaming at 1 AM and it's not a game that many people want to see. But if there is demand for the NWSL, it's something we'll think about. Maybe I'll put out something on the community tab to gauge interest soon. Heatley. Now Baldi. Pass out to the left-hand side. Brought down by Vea. Giuliano loses out. Valerenga now trying to come forwards. Nice movement from Brecken. Can she pick out a teammate? Still driving forwards here. Brecken could release a shot. Does release a shot. And it arrows home for Valerenga. Roma 0, Valerenga 1. Brecken drives it forwards and fires home emphatically. Great strike from Brecken and Valerenga lead in this game. Roma 0, Valerenga 1. And it comes from Roma trying to play out from the back. Again, you feel it should be better from, I believe it was Giuliano who gave it away somewhat carelessly. Valerenga drive forwards and it's slashed home by Brecken. AS Roma 1. AS Roma 0, sorry. Valerenga 1. And that is a big goal in the context of this tie. Both sides yet to register a point in this competition. And this could be a big goal for Valerenga. And a big goal for their hopes of qualifying for the playoffs. And so 40 minutes and the deadlock is broken. Roma a goal down here at home. The Norwegian side Valerenga take the lead. Here come Roma though, looking to hit back immediately. Vines into the box, chance now. Flashes across the face of goal. Pilgrim can't quite get there, and that will roll out of play for a Valerenga throw in, and no urgency here from the visitors. They very much just want to see this lead into half time, but Roma looking to hurt them quickly. Looking to respond, but they couldn't. And how does no one deal with Brecken here? She just keeps driving. No one tries and stops her. And she's given the time, the space, and she's got the quality to finish from that sort of area. Lovely hit from Brecken, and Valerenga lead in this game. Oladipo. HB says, what a goal from the turn to the finish. Wow, yes, indeed. Very tidy from Valerenga's number 30, Brecken. Bergamaschi into Dragoni. Now Bergamaschi again. Ball out to the left-hand side. Here come Roma. Pilgrim. Cuts in. Puts it into the area. Looking for Giuliano. Headed away. Only as far as Katarina Kuhl, who can't make anything happen with the ball. As it's cleared away, and Vea tries to chest it down, but to no avail. That's out for a Valerenga throw. But yeah, not the starts this game Roma were looking for, but you can't say that wasn't coming. Roma started faster, but they haven't really dominated this game in the way they would have wanted to. Valerenga with the better chances. And now Valerenga with the lead. And as we tick down towards half time, it was the perfect time to score, really. Roma, though, looking to draw level again before the break as they drive down the right-hand side. Here is Giulia Dragoni. Options to the left and right, runs into trouble, and Tvedten again steps just over the line there. And too aggressive in her attempts to recover the ball. Oladipo. Across to Katrina Vea. Forward pass into Alaya Pilgrim. Knocks it down the line. Now wants to put it into the box. Vines holds it up well. Pilgrim. And that a wayward delivery. And Bergamaschi has kept that in somehow. Blocked well. And out for... Well, teams have actually gone off the pitch or an offside. I'm not sure what they're given there. But either way, Tenebo's done enough to stop Bergamaschi. And then a decision going against Bergamaschi. Has that gone off? I think she's kept that in, to be fair to her. I think she's a little unlucky. Ball out to the left-hand side. Flicked on well by Brecken. Out, though, for a Roma throw-in. Ball down the line. Vines plays inside. Here's Katarina Kuhl, the most advanced player for AS Roma. A misplaced pass, though. We'll see the attack break down. Valerenga now looking to come the other way. Brecken back to Eriksdottir. That pass to the left-hand side leaves a lot to be desired, as that's out for a Roma throw. Ryan says, nice, I'm happy for Valerenga. Yeah, that's a big goal. They've deserved something after their performances in the first 2 game weeks. And we've got 3 minutes of additional time in this first half. So still time as this game progresses for Roma to try and hit back. Before the break, here is Heatley. Lovely pass forwards into Katarina Kuhl, whose touch is a little loose but does recover it. Now Dragoni. Back to Heatley. Back out to the right-hand side. Bergamaschi, ball into the area. Headed down to Giuliano. Now Pilgrim who takes aim. Save well, will drop now for Giuliano in the penalty area. Clips it back in. Chance now for Bergamaschi. Heads wide. Has that taken a deflection? It has indeed. A Roma corner now. And belief is with AS Roma. Can they make something happen here right at the end of the half? It's struck well by Pilgrim. Bergamaschi couldn't quite meet it as it was headed away. And Roma now with a corner and a chance to put pressure on the Valerenga backline once again. It took a goal to wake them up, but Roma are now back in this game. And can they find a goal to match that momentum? Giuliano, ball into the box, headed along. Oladipo will try and keep this move alive. Back now to Katrina Vea. Options queuing up in the box. Delivery headed away though by Horta. Cure puts it back in there. Headed away by Tavedton. Drops now for Dragoni, who sends it forwards. That's a foul on the goal kick from Vines, not given. It's cleared away though, only as far as Roma though. Giuliano. And that is not dealt with again. Giuliano strikes it, blocked again. Now to Edson on the left-hand side, looking to get away for Valerenga. Knocked out of play for Bergamaschi. And that brings to an end that hectic sequence for a moment. Quick throw though for Roma. Ball in from Rika. Headed away by Eriksdottir. And now they can look to break Valerenga. To Edson. Pokes it on to Savic, who holds the ball up well. To Edson. Horizontal pass into Brecken. Eriksdottir. Hansen. Back to Eriksdottir. Hansen. A pass inside, looking for Vicius. One back though, and here come AS Roma. Giuliano. Plays it forward into Giulia Dragoni. Looks left. Finds Alaya Pilgrim. Ball down the line, looking for Katrina Vea, and that will roll out of play for a Valerenga goal kick. And that may well be the last action of the half, and it is indeed. It's half time here in Roma. In Rome, Roma 0, Valerenga 1. A really good start to the game for Valerenga, who've done well to deal with the early pressure applied by Roma. They found that goal then through Brecken. And at the break, they lead by a goal to 0. And yeah, important first half, I think, for Valerenga. They've had some really nice performances in this competition to date, but they haven't had the points, they haven't had the prizes to go with it. But we are seeing now, at least in the first half here, that they have found something with all of that good performance, and they do lead by a goal to 0. But Roma, incredibly disappointing. They've just really struggled to get going, and we've seen the same defensive frailties that have hurt them so far this campaign. They're emerging once again. And yeah, they haven't really looked good coming forwards either. They've had more shots than Valerenga, but not by a dramatic amount. 13 attempts to 6. I think 3 of those were in that final sequence there just before the end of the half. And yeah, they just haven't really looked dangerous in the final third. I think a lot of their shots have only been half chances. They haven't really created anything clear-cut. And Valerenga, they did. Simply put, they had opportunities that were stronger. And that is in the data as well. 1 big chance for Valerenga, 0 for Roma. And Valerenga missed that big chance as well. But Brecken from the edge of the box, lashing one home. Manuela Giuliano, though, has been incredible for us at Roma, while she was somewhat at fault for that Brecken goal. In that first half, 8 chances created. 4 defensive contributions as well, doing it both sides of the ball for Roma. Very impressive start to the half. But I think as a unit, we haven't really seen this Roma side work. It just looks disjointed when they try and come forwards at the moment. They're not clicking in attacking areas. They don't look dangerous enough. They don't look decisive enough in the final third. They are struggling really to get shots away in good areas. There's been a lot of shots from the edge of the box, a lot of pot shots, a lot of shots from really weird areas as well, like cutting in from the left-hand side and just immediately shooting from really deep and wide areas, which I just find is strange. They're not looking to get chances in the middle. They're just shooting wherever they can. And it just doesn't feel like there's much direction behind what they're looking to do on the ball at the moment, Roma. And so, yeah, I think first half, Valerenga leading by a goal to nil, I think is merited. Absolutely merited. Roma just have not got going. But yeah, we'll see how this game progresses then. But I've been super impressed, as I have been for, well, much of their Champions League campaign so far with Valerenga. I think they've done incredibly well in that first half, despite just having 45% possession to Roma's 55%. They generated 13 attacks to Roma's 19, and we didn't. I think when you look at how Valerenga were coming forwards, their use of set pieces, I think they were much more dangerous from set pieces than Roma were. And yeah, I think they've drawn Roma into committing more fouls than perhaps you would have expected in that first half. They've not been, 4 fouls committed from AS Roma. They've been threatened by Valerenga. Valerenga only 2, and I believe Twfc was responsible for both of those fouls. So you've got a Valerenga side who are super disciplined and compact, and they make it really difficult to break them down, and so Roma are struggling with that aspect. But they're also very dangerous on the attack, Valerenga, because they're able to they're able to get forwards very quickly, but they're also able to get wide very quickly, and they're dragging Roma out quite effectively at the moment. It's why we're seeing players committing more fouls, because they're dragged out of the position they'd like to be in, and they commit the foul to bail themselves out of it. I'm very surprised at this stage in the game we haven't seen a yellow card for Roma. I think Bergamaschi, when she accidentally, it was an accident to be fair, but she trod onto Nebo. Nebo was getting away from her, and I think that probably should have been a yellow card. It was a free kick, and Valerenga did have a chance to put the ball into the box. On that occasion, though, it wasn't quite as threatening as they would have wanted it to be. But Valerenga have threatened from set pieces, and they've threatened from open play, and we haven't really seen the same from Roma. We've seen a Roma side struggle to create, a Roma side that looks ill-disciplined, and there's a lack of organisation, disorganised at the back. And yeah, I just haven't been impressed by what I've seen from Roma, whereas I think Valerenga have held their own in that first half, a very respectable performance from the visitors. So this would be a huge coup if they could pull off the victory tonight, or even if they could nick a draw. And it's a game where they aren't favourites, but if they can get something here, they play SK and St Paulton next week. That, for me, is their biggest game. It's a pot 3 opposition. That's got to be a win for Valerenga next week. They then come back to Paris FC, which is their other pot 2 team, and I think they would view that as a game that they can they should be getting something from. And then they face Bayern Munich, which will be a very tough fixture at the end of the year. But yeah, they've held their own so far, Valerenga, and I think we may be looking at them getting into the playoffs again. And they keep over punching above their weight. I think it was only the season before last where we saw them into the playoffs before. I think on that occasion they faced Barcelona and it didn't go particularly well for them. But they got into the quarterfinals on that occasion. Now, they're looking at potential playoff spots. If they can get the result here, I think that puts them in a really good position to be in those playoff spots. So, yeah, don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think, Valerenga doing really well. And the performance tonight is akin to a side who deserve to be at that level of the competition. They've competed really well with Roma. I think, as I say, they're very disciplined, very organised. They are physical without having to overstep that line. At times, certain individuals have. I think Twfc, the biggest culprit. But other than that, they haven't been forced into just making successive fouls and unnecessary fouls in order just to stop Roma coming forward. Instead, they've just been disciplined. They've been regimented. And it's been really difficult for Roma to break that very strong back 3, becoming a back 5 when they don't have the ball. So, yeah, I've been really impressed with what Valerenga have been able to do. I think they've dealt with everything Roma have thrown their way so far. What will be interesting to see is how they respond now. You would expect Roma to up their game in the second 45. They do have options off the bench to come in and potentially impact the match. Dragoni would have been one of them, already coming on to the field, though, in the 20th minute. But she has had the desired impact. I think that having someone like Giulia Dragoni does draw fouls really well, does want to carry that ball forwards, does want to progress it a little bit faster than anything else they've got. And there have been moments where Roma have been able to come forwards, and they've got players like Vines getting shots away at goal. Elia Pilgrim, I think, has looked a lot weaker on the left-hand side than she did on the right-hand side. I think when she was on the right, we saw a bit of her driving towards goal. There was one about 2 minutes in where Horta it looked like she was walking compared to how quick Elia Pilgrim was, but Pilgrim just blasted past her and she was in, but didn't find the finish. And yeah, I think since they moved to the left, that explosiveness hasn't really been apparent. So that's been a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think other than that, Roma have struggled to offer a threat coming forwards. Giuliano has created chances, but nothing clear-cut, nothing that you would say they should have scored from. And Vålerenga had other chances in the half. There was the Horta header that was flicked towards the goal. Flicked on, I believe, by Heg. That could have easily gone in. There was the cross into the box where Horta left the header that then allowed that to be struck by Savic. It should have been a better one. There was the one that's just shown on screen now, which was where the ball was played over the top by Taneba after a corner didn't quite work out. It was headed goalwards by Horta, but neither Kovacs nor Savic could quite tuck it, quite put it into the back of the net, and Roma did really well in that instance to jump on the ball, get players in front of it, and stop that becoming a goal. But yeah, Vålerenga could easily be 2-0 up in this match. And I think that would probably be a merited scoreline at this stage. Roma have not been at the races so far. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes in the second 45. The response from Roma is going to be important. We saw how Vålerenga responded to a bit of early Roma pressure. Roma were probably the better side for the first 8 minutes. But after that point, they struggled a little bit, and what we saw was Vålerenga start to come into their own, and they grew really into the game throughout that first half. Vålerenga, to the point that by the end of the first half they looked the better side. Now there was a little period after they scored where Roma were a little bit better, as they were starting to come forwards and they wanted to try and get a goal, but it just didn't quite come together for Roma right at the end of that half. I thought Vålerenga were excellent. But yeah, we'll see how it goes in the second 45. As I say, Roma do probably have more options off the bench. The likes of Thogerson, the likes of Corelli, the likes of Greggy could come on and have an impact. Di Guillermo, another option as well. If they wanted, someone a little bit more aggressive potentially in that. Well, to be fair, Bergamaschi is also quite an aggressive at fullback. That's the Vålerenga. Well, they do have options off the bench. The likes of Ceesay, Haidars, Dotti, Aronson, Thorsnes as well. Inouye in midfield if they just want some legs in there. So they have got players that can come in and have an impact, but probably not the same level as Roma do. Again, though, as I say, Dragoni would have been that player you look for as a great option off the bench for AS Roma. And now that won't be an option, but she has looked good since coming on. I think Katarina Kuhl has struggled to impact the game in the way that you would want her to. You'd expect her to be a very creative presence, but she's a bit more of a ball carrier in this side. When you've got Rika, who feels to me like a very decent, capable passer, but a bit more of the destroyer in there. You've then got Manuela Giuliano as, of course, the high-volume creator. She's just sort of everywhere in the game at the moment. She's just floated around the pitch, which is exactly what you'd expect from a player like Giuliano. And then you've got Katarina Kuhl, who is more of the water carrier in this side. And it's strange because I remember watching Kuhl in the UWCL not too long ago, and she was a very creative player. But obviously she won't be as creative in this side with the burden being on Giuliano. But if she could introduce creativity into that midfield, it does just reduce the burden potentially on Giuliano and give them another option to create from, which they need. Roma have not created enough in this first 45, as I say. Well, they have had more shots and more attacks, which again, I don't know 100% what that statistic means, or how that's measured, sorry. But yeah, they have had more attacks, they have had more shots, but none of them have really been clear-cut. And, even if you look at shots on target, it's quite a granular statistic. 13 shots, 3 on target, compared to Vålerenga's 6, 2 on target. That shot accuracy is, 33% for Vålerenga, whereas it's significantly lower for us at Roma. So somewhere around the 20% mark, I would say. So yeah, not being the first half that Roma would have wanted. If you are watching along and you've got some thoughts on that first half, feel free to drop them in the live chat and we'll talk through them before the second half. Shouldn't have long now until the second half gets back underway. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for hopping in the stream this evening. It's been a little bit of a chaotic start to the stream, but hopefully we can enjoy a very exciting doubleheader of Women's Champions League action. If you are new to the channel, new to the community, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when we upload, and you can help support the channel even more. So if you are new, haven't hit that button yet, make sure to hit subscribe and join us later this evening as Wolfsburg take on OL Lyonnais. And then we've also got more Champions League action to follow tomorrow before we move into the WSL coverage this weekend. But yeah, poll and chat so far, not quite on the money. 81% going for AS Roma. Only 12% going for Valerenga. And well, Valerenga lead the way at half-time. So congratulations to that. 12% for now, 7% going for a draw. Does also feel like a reasonable prediction at this stage. Though, of course, Roma could still come back into it. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They're a very strong side. Got to step up the performance level, though. Bright Chapman, what was the stream? Says, do you think there's 6 more corners coming? For who? In total, probably. I mean, 8 in that first half. And you'd think if Roma are struggling, they'll put more pressure on, then they'll just keep taking shots and win corners. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there are 6 more corners in this game. Change for Roma at half-time as well. And so that is Gali coming on for Katarina Kuhl. I have to say I don't disagree too much with that one. I think that Kuhl has struggled somewhat. It looks like Gali will go to left wing. And that will see Pilgrim return to the right-hand side, where I think she was more dangerous in those opening moments. So could this be the thing that sparks Roma back to life? Well, they'll certainly be hoping so. We are about to get back underway in this game. Roma from the middle waiting for the referee's whistle. It's Vines to start. And again, we do just have a short delay. We do get back underway for another 45 minutes of action in the Women's Champions League. The first game of match day 3, and it's Valerenga leading Roma by a goal to 0. Dragoni. Forced back to Bergamaschi. Pass forwards again into Vines. Holds the ball up well. And that's blocked out for a Roma throw-in. Jose Enriquez asks, what is your prediction at the final whistle? Well, I'll stick with what I said at the top of the show. I predicted a 2-1 victory for Roma. So I'll stick with that for now. Though I wouldn't be surprised if Valerenga held on. I have not been impressed by what Roma have done in that first 45, but I do think they'll come back. I do think they'll look better. I think moving Pilgrim to the right-hand side is a productive change. So yeah, we'll see how it goes from here. Throw in now for Valerenga on the far side. Thrown down, Vicius can't quite hold on to the ball. Now sent forwards, and that will run all the way through to the goalkeeper. Balde in the Roma net. And now they'll build up from the back. Here is Balde. Thrown out to the left-hand side. Vea. Sends it forwards. Flicked round the corner by Vines, and there was an offside call in there. Vines coming back from an offside position to receive that pass. But yeah, Roma with that sub then at half-time, that feels to me like a very early roll of the dice, because they already used Dragoni early on. Now they're using Gali. That is 2 of their bigger difference makers used already. I mean, they've still got Thorgerson, who, you know, I think would come on and have an impact, but that is somewhat surprising to me. But I think getting Pilgrim back onto the right-hand side is positive. And getting Dragoni, well, to be fair, Dragoni was already in midfield. They'd pushed Kuhl to right wing, which wasn't really perfect. Roma on the ball now. Here is Giuliano, who looks now to play it in behind, looking for the run of Vines. That will bounce through, though, to Emblon. And yeah, Vines just delayed that run, when perhaps should have just kept going there and backed that Giuliano's ball was going to meet her run. Forward from Brecken. Cut out well by Katrina Vea. Will drop in there now for Vicius. And now Savic. One back well by Vea. Gali. Katrina Vea will carry that ball forwards now. Heatley. Ball knocked wide into Pilgrim. Back down the line to Bergamaschi. And here come AS Roma. Blocked well by Ternebo. Out now for a Roma throw-in. And a bit of a mess there. And it is out for a Roma throw-in, I believe. That may be a free kick actually though. Bundled down by Tvedten. It is a throw. And it's taken quickly. Heatley. Composed there with the pass forward, was dragged back by Tvedten, who's got to watch it a little bit. Her discipline has slipped somewhat throughout this game. Just looking at the Chelsea team, it's a bit of an odd selection. Livia Peng in goal for the Blues. You already knew that one. Just seeing if anything's going to happen here because it looks like Valerenga trying to break Vicius. Now Tvedten, and that was a poor challenge there from Rika. Caught out and commits the foul. And Tvedten there, who's been a little bit aggressive herself on the end of a heavy challenge there from Rika. But, yeah, Chelsea side to take on St Paulton Peng in goal. Back four of Carpenter, Bronze at centre half, Germer and Baltimore. Midfield pivot, it looks like of Walsh and Captime with Macaro in the 10. And then Thompson and Carnreid either side, with Kerr leading the line. First start since her ACL injury. So very attacking with both fullbacks. Not a surprise given the relative weakness of the opponent. Chelsea looking to score goals this evening. And we'll keep tabs on that game during the coverage of Lyon Wolfsburg later this evening. Here come Valerenga. Ternebo. Ball in to the box, head away by Oladipo. And it drops now for Valerenga. Here is Eriksdottir. Nice pass forward to Tvedten. Lovely flick back to Brecken, who's looking for her second of the game, but can't quite squeeze that pass forwards as she looked to find Savic. It's cut out well, and Roma trying to break away, but it's just back into possession of Valerenga. Horta. Across to Eriksdottir. Out wide now into Hansen. One back by Vea. Hansen again though. Eriksdottir forwards into Hegg, who brings it under her control. And here come Valerenga. Switch the play now into Tvedten. Just about keeps under her control. Hegg again. Lovely chop back. Now Vicius. And now here is Eriksdottir again. Ryzen says, love the rotation. Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm a little surprised to see Bronze at centre-back, but I like the fact that Bright's getting a rest. I like the fact Bjorn especially is getting a rest. Here come Roma. Ball now looking forwards for Vines. Chance to have a Bergamaschi, and that one over the bar. Just got behind that a little bit more than she would have wanted. And that is a Valerenga goal kick. This was well worked between Vines and Bergamaschi. Bergamaschi, though, not able to add the finishing touch to that sequence. Enblom sends it forward. Rika there, too aggressive. Pushing down to Nebo, no attempts to win the ball. That will be a Valerenga free kick. Kovacs. Horta. Now into Ternebo. Horta. Back now to Kovacs. Now here come Valerenga Brecken. Shifts to Tvfc out wide now into Tanebo. Looking to dart inside. Goes down there on the edge of the box. Not enough in it though. For a penalty. It wasn't even in the penalty area to be fair, but not even enough for a free kick. Here's Tanebo. Vicious. Eriksdottir. Now Kovacs. Horta. Tanebo. Great turn there, and that is lovely movement from Savic, and somehow that's not been given as a foul. She dropped well off the shoulder of Bergamaschi, was dragged down there. It went out of play for a throw, and that will be given as a Roma throw. A little surprised there not to see Savic rewarded for that brilliant turn. And Bergamaschi punished for quite a blatant foul. Thrown forwards now. Pass up to the left-hand side, doesn't quite come off. Strong from Oladipo. And it was too strong from Tvfc again, I believe. I mean, now she's not on a yellow card at this stage is a little beyond me, because that is, I believe, her 5th foul of the game. Thing is, they've all been relatively soft fouls, but it should, I mean, at this point, the succession of them should be a yellow card. Heatley into Rika. Pass forward. Looking for Haig, one back well by Oladipo. And now Roma coming down the left-hand side. Katrina Vea carries the ball forwards with some danger. Options to her left and right. Vea puts it into the area. Not a bad ball. Headed away and then cleared away well by Valerenga. Here's Oladipo. Vea. Bounce the pass off Dragoni. Back to Giulia Dragoni. Heatley. Plays it forwards into Dragoni. Looking now for Pilgrim, who breaks into the box. Tanebo does well to get in her way. Pilgrim wins it back now though. Dragoni into the area, headed towards goal. Vines his effort, saved well by Emblem. And she saw that all the way there, the Valerenga captain. But yeah, Tanebo just tried to draw the foul, didn't really work out. Pilgrim was physical but fair. But it amounts ultimately to nothing. Valerenga. Brecken battling away, loses out to Dragoni. Oladipo back now to Baldi, and out now to the left hand side. Here is Katrina Vea. And Roma with work to do still to get back into this game. It's certainly been an improved showing in the second half. Gali. Now, Giuliano. Gali has also been fairly quiet since she's come on. What she has done, though, is allow Roma to have Pilgrim on the right-hand side, and she's looked much more dangerous. She's on the ball again now. Alaya Pilgrim has options around her. Looks to come inside. It's cut out well. Bit of a mess. Falls to Dragoni, who takes aim. It's blocked. Some tentative calls for handball. Nothing serious, though. And now Valerenga looking to break away. One back well, though, by Oladipo. Vea. Now to Gali. Looks to go wide here. Ball into the box to Vines, who can't quite keep it under her control. And that's out for a goal kick. Much the bewilderment of Vines, but at least from my angle, that looked like she touched the ball. Have a look. Yeah, I'm not sure what her complaint is there. Didn't get a good angle of it really, but yeah. Didn't look like a It didn't look like a corner to me. Ball forwards down the left-hand side. What about a Pilgrim out, though, for a Valerenga throw-in. Ray says, Justin Lampert's nice. Hope we kick on tonight. Yeah, true. I think Chelsea, that is a lineup that should put a few past SK and St Paulton. I mean, I think anything less than 3 would be a disappointment. I'd love to see something, around 5 or 6 though. Ball in behind for Valerenga, swept up well by Oladipo. Vea tries to go down the line, nothing curving though. Oladipo slashing it forwards. Again though, to no avail, that's out for a throw. But yeah, get involved in the live chat. What do you think is going to happen in the last half an hour here? Are Roma going to get back into the game, or will Valerenga hold on? Could Valerenga extend their lead? Let me know your prediction for the last half an hour here. Get involved in the live chat. But it's Valerenga with a free kick. Great move from Hegg down the right-hand side. Vea bringing her down. And that will be a Valerenga free kick. Katrina Vea furious about that decision. Though I have to agree, the referee's got that one right. And so Valerenga now with a chance to put the ball into the box. Chance to threaten Roma in a good area here, and it's Tvfc over it. Baldi organising her wall. And Tvfc now steps up over it. Lifts it into the box, slightly over here. Well, more than slightly. And it's now Roma breaking away. Rika out to the left-hand side. Giuliano switching the play. Looking for Gali. Tanebo under pressure. Does well to hook it out of play. Rika. Oladipo. Vea. Oladipo. Head away by Tanebo. Rika. Giuliano. Leads it to the overlapping run of Katrina Vea. Back to Manuela Giuliano. Vea. Now Alaya Pilgrim. Cuts inside, ball towards the back post. Too much on that again though. Pilgrim's had a lot in this game where she cuts in and it's sort of a half cross, half shot. Whereas actually she just needs to either cross it into the box and get more of a whip on it. Or she needs to cut inside. Oh, sorry, yeah, cross and get a bit more, float it a little bit more. Or cut inside, wrap your foot around it and get a good shot away at goal. Change for Roma now. Rika off, which makes sense given she's on a yellow card to replace by Greggy, the experienced midfielder, coming on. And Roma with their, third change of the game. Just after the hour mark. Ball out to the left-hand side. Header one well. Drops now for Giuliano. Flicks it up in the air. And that contest won by Valerenga as they come forwards. Good recovery from Oladipo, who's the only competent defender in that Roma backline tonight, I have to say. Giuliano looking to make something happen here. Tidy footwork from the technician. Pilgrim. Praveen wanting Roma to win in the live chat. Keep your thoughts coming in if you're watching along. Ball out wide now for Alaya Pilgrim in towards the near post. Headed away well. Drops now for Greggy. Oladipo. And now Vea. Greggy. Heatley. Into Pilgrim. Nowhere to go there for Elia Pilgrim. Wants to go back instead. Oladipo. And now Katrina Vea. Greggy. Oladipo. Pass forward again into Greggy, knocks it round the corner. Into Katrina Vea. Lays one to Giuliano and receives it back again. Options now to the left and the right. Plays a pass through the lines into Dragoni. Here's Gali. Wants to cut inside. Goes down there under the challenge. Nothing too strong though. It was a fair challenge. And Valerenga now looking to break away. Good hold up front. Tveta comes to nothing though. One back by Greggy. And Roma now looking to come forwards. Here's Greggy. Knocks it wide. Pilgrim. Greggy. Down the line to Bergamashi. Roma now coming forward towards the back post. Gali can't quite get there. Just misread the flight of the ball. Hegger then knocking it into the channel. Recovered easily with Oladipo. Heatley. Lifts it over the top. Looking for Vines. It bounces around. Here is Vines who strikes it. And that one struck wildly by Vines. And she'd have liked to have done better with that opportunity. Roma's best chance to try and get back into the game. Squandered spectacularly by Vines. So 25 minutes to play, and as the time ebbs away, Valerenga get close to victory and Roma get closer to their third successive defeat in the Champions League. Albeit against some tough opposition, but it does put themselves in a tough spot to qualify. Giuliano now looking for the pass out to the left-hand side. One back by Eriksdottir. Nice turn in there from Hegg. Back now to Brecken. Kovacs. Here's Horta. Ball forwards. One back well. Here's Greggy. And that's too aggressive there, apparently, from Tveta. Again. Here come Roma. Vea. Giuliano. Out to the right-hand side. Gali looks to come inside, strikes one from range. And Blom, though, sees it all the way and has no issue claiming it. And Roma, they've done a lot of that. A lot of shots from range. A lot of shots that don't look like they're seriously going to go in. Roma have peppered that Valerenga goal at times this evening, but nothing that looks surefire to trouble the goalkeeper. 18 shots to 6 in favour of the hosts, but Valerenga had the best chance of the game. Have a goal as well. It's just been inefficient, inclinical from Roma. 18 shots, only 5 on target. And of those 5, I'm not sure many have been even inside the penalty area. Savic. Hansen back to Eriksdottir. Kovacs. Horta. Back now to Emblom. Forward pass. Gordon says, I think the game will stay 1-0. It'll be interesting. I haven't seen... we've watched a lot of, obviously, these earlier kickoffs, and they've all come so close so far. This, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday slot, like the first game of the match day, they've all come so close to being, you know, an upset. And then, you know, the big side wins. So I wouldn't be surprised if Roma did get it back. Here is Gali. Feeds it through. Ball across the box. Flicked on well by Vines. Doesn't come to anything though. And now Valerenga looking to break away. Here is Heg. Nowhere to go though. Vicious. Eriksdottir. Kovacs, Horta, down the left-hand side. Snabo holds the width well. And again, Valerenga play through Roma too easily, and that is a foul from Bergamaschi, who was getting back into position. And that will be a free kick for Valerenga. A look back at that move for Roma that almost gave them an opportunity. Didn't quite materialise it though. Green says he thinks it'll be 2-1 Roma. Well, that was my prediction before kick-off, but I've not been massively impressed by the hosts in this side. And I think Valerenga deserve the victory as it stands. Roma may turn up the wick in the last 20 minutes. Free kick now, though, for the visitors. Valerenga ball into the box. Horta lies in wait, heads it down, and it's blocked away. And now Roma can look to counter Gali. And that's a misplaced pass intended for Greggy. It doesn't reach its destination. Hansen. Back now to Emblom. Green says every match Roma goals more than 2. True. But they've not played a super defensive team yet. You know, while Barcelona and Real Madrid are both great coming forwards, they've not played a side like Valerenga, who've been really difficult to break down. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Ball forwards now. Valerenga trying to come forwards. Strong challenge from Oladipo. And here come Roma. Yeah, yet more defensive problems for Roma. I mean, the structure just looks too open. It's why Valerenga found the goal. It's why they've been able to keep coming forwards with so much threat. Oladipo. Cross now to Katrina Vea. One back now by Savic. Brecken. Nowhere to go. Turned over well. Struck by Vines. Blocked well. And now Tanebo battling with Pilgrim for possession. And Pilgrim commits the foul. And now changes are coming. But for whom? It's a double change for Valerenga. It is a double change for Roma as well. For Valerenga, that looks like Cisse. And it looks like Aronson, I think. No, it's Inuan. Couldn't tell if it was a 7 or a 17. So Vicious and Heg making way. That will see Cisse onto the wing to replace Heg. And that will see Vicious out of midfield and Inuan into the pivot. Makes sense. I mean, I was a little surprised not to see Cisse start. She looked very dangerous in the first 2 games of the campaign. And now for Roma, it will be Vines off for Thogerson. And then Bergamaschi making way as well. And she will be replaced by Corelli. So Corelli will lead the line. Thogerson goes to right back, which does make sense. Again, though, quite an aggressive fullback. Bergamaschi has been very high in this game, but keeps getting caught out. Or kept getting caught out. Thogerson needs to provide that width and that supports the attack, but also needs to get back in. Giuliano flicked forwards, headed away well by Horta. Launched out of play by Thogerson. And yeah, there just needs to be some urgency for AS Roma. This would be a very disappointing way to drop further points in this competition. Emblom. Eriksdottir. Back to Emblom. And now it's with Kovacs. Eriksdottir. Launches it looking for Cisse, who battles for possession here. Now Veja. One back by Cisse. Plays it inside to Savic. That's cleared away though by Roma. And as far as Greggy, whose pass doesn't find anyone. Here is Savic. Strong from Oladipo, but it seems fair. And then really hard work there from Veja to keep it in touch. Corelli, nowhere to go. Well won in the midfield by Brecken. Hansen loses out. Veja. Oladipo. Baldi. That's the right-hand side now. Thogerson. Knocks it down the line. Can't quite keep it in touch again, Roma. Tanebo now with a throw-in on the far side. Down the line into Cisse. Knocked out of play by Heatley. And now the throw-in for Tanebo. And again, Valerenga just slowing this game down. Pass back now to Horta. Through the lines now. Looking for Inuan. Holds that well. Now Corelli. And they'll look to break here. Roma. Dragoni dragged back. And that will be a free kick for Roma. And that will rightfully be a yellow card as well for the culprit. Which I believe was Tvedten again. Yeah, that was going for Tvedten. I mean, that was a yellow card on its own, regardless of the numerous fouls she committed up to this point. Giuliano. Ball poked out wide. Here come Roma. And that's blocked out. And that will be a Roma corner. What can they do from this? Quarter of an hour to go. Roma have got to up the urgency. Got to find an equaliser in this game. They need to do it quickly because they'd be wanting to find a winner. But got to focus on getting back into it first. Ball in towards the front posts. And that's headed wide. And nothing coming from that one. Elia Pilgrim unable to find the target as she meets that delivery in the air. And so Emblom building out from the back now, Valerenga. Sends it forward to the left-hand side. Flick on now to Cisse. One back by Tanebo. Now Cisse. And again, one back well. And Corelli drives that ball forwards. Now Dragoni, and they can't quite keep it in their possession. Kovacs. Hansen. Back to goalkeeper. Emblom. And every time they do this, Valerenga, they can just slow the game down a little bit more. Brecken into Hansen. Hansen forward pass. Held up well by Savic. Anyone can't quite keep it under her control. Does shift it to Hansen though before it's intercepted. Eriksdottir. Now out to Horta. Tanebo. Horta. Kovacs. Horta. Tanebo. Inuan round the corner well. into Savic, who knocks it wide. Here's to Nebo. Can she got a shot away? And she does, but it's straight down the throat again of Baldi. Vea, Oladipo. And now across into Heatley. Baldi. Heatley. Baldi again. Heatley again. Not exactly urgent from Roma. Thogerson plays it forward. That one a little more rushed. Probably should have done better there though. Corelli has managed though to win a throw-in from it. Roma now on the far side. Giuliano sending it up the line. This is something that Corelli will chase and fight for. Still though, can't make anything happen. Out for another Roma throw. Higher up the pitch this time. As they move towards the Valerenga third. Pilgrim. Coming forwards. Blocked well by Tanebo. And out for a goal kick. Thogerson there. Couldn't make anything happen. And, well, no, sorry, it's gone for a corner, I think. Referee definitely... Or maybe a free kick, actually, sorry. Tanebo too strong in her attempt to win back the ball. Thogerson brought down. And a Roma free kick. So Manuela Giuliano over this. Again, they've got height in the box if they can take advantage of that. Giuliano in towards the near post. Horta deals with these. That was the wrong decision at this stage of the game. Roma throw in now. High up the pitch as they look to just put more pressure on Valerenga. And that's a really poor pass. She tries to bounce it back to the thrower, Giuliano, but she completely misjudges it there. Thogerson, it's out of play. And you can just sense a little bit now of panic in the Roma camp, particularly on the face of Luca Rossettini. Enblom sending it out to the left-hand side. Cisse now knocks it up the line. That will just kill time. Rome with a throw-in again. Thogerson. Flicked on by Dragoni, one back. Well, possession exchanges hands quickly. Drops now in for Valerenga, one back by Oladipo. And now it's with Horto. Can't quite keep that in touch. That will go for a Roma throw, which they'll try and take quickly now. Things have got to happen urgently. Giuliano to Thogerson. Forced backwards now. Forced all the way back to Heatley. Cisse puts the pressure on. Composed there from Heatley. Vea. Carries it forwards. Cleared away on as far as Dragoni. Now Cisse though. Oladipo brings her down. Deemed to be fair. Vea. Heatley. Things do get easier for Roma. Next week a trip to OH Leuven. But if they come from this game without a point to their name, well, that puts the pressure on that Leuven fixture. As for Valerenga, well, they head to SKN, or they welcome SKN St Polten, a St Polten side who face Chelsea this evening. Will be interesting to see what they can get from that game. 8 minutes to play now. Valerenga trying to see this out. Giuliano knocks it down the line. On back by Tanebo. Flicked forwards. Now looking for Cisse. The focal point of this Valerenga attack. She gets around Heatley. Still going forward. Cisse, great work, great in there. Sees off the challenge of Dragoni. Brecken. Not wide by Eriksdottir. Down the line well from Hansen. They can't quite get there. Nice give and go on the left-hand side between Veja and Dragoni. Veja. Forced back to Greggy. Forward pass is recovered by Brecken, then knocked out of play, and that will be a Roma throw-in. Veja. Greggy into Oladipo. Veja sends it forwards, cut out well by Inuan. And Tvedsen was looking for the run of Inuan, didn't quite come off. Here is Savic. Comes up the line, Greggy follows her, one back well in there by Dragoni. Here's Pilgrim, who again, since she switched to the left-hand side, hasn't looked as threatening. Ball in now from the fullback Thorgerson. Not a great delivery though, and Valerenga with the goal kick. And they'll just look to slow this down as much as possible. Valerenga. Six minutes to play in this Champions League matchup. Roma working with borrowed time. Valerenga holding on. Here is Tvedsen. Cisse Oladipo gets there though, and that's launched forwards. That's just going to run straight through to Emblem. Eriksdottir, now Kovacs. Horta. Brecken, Horta. Knocks it up the line. And that again will bounce all the way through to Baldi. Here is Katrina Veja. Dragoni. Nice drive forwards here from Gilia Dragoni. Veja. Heatley. Thorgerson back to Heatley, looking for the forward option again. Now Heatley slides it through the lines. And now here comes Valerenga, and there's a foul there on Gali, and that will be a Roma 3 kick. And that's something they can use now. AS Roma to their advantage. Manuela Giuliano over this set piece. Apologies. What could she do with this opportunity? Trying to routine. They slot it into the penalty area. Here is Corelli. Comes to nothing. Tenebo's clearance with not enough on it. Drops for Tvedsen, who gets it to Cisse. One back by Giuliano. Back into the penalty area. Headed on. Drops now for Elia Pilgrim at the back post. Fizzed into the penalty area over everybody though. And it's Tenebo, the Valerenga wing back, who gets there first and clears it away. Oladipo recovers it for Roma. Back now to her goalkeeper. Forward now on the left-hand side. Heatley tries to slot it through. Cut out well by Savic. Inuan. Cisse can't quite get there. And now Katrina Veja. Ball forwards, headed down well. Now here come Roma. Let's fly there. Corelli doesn't amount to much though. And now Valerenga trying to drive that ball forwards. Tenebo in trouble. Draws the foul. Too aggressive from a desperate Corelli. Three minutes left, plus any additional time. Not long now for Valerenga to hold on. Not long for Roma to try and find something in this match. Ball forwards from Emblem. Headed on towards Cisse. One back well by Oladipo, and that's cleared. Only as follow as Horta. Drops now for Vea. Greggy. Round the corner into Heatley. Thogerson. Heatley. Ball down the right-hand side, and that will bounce out for a Valerenga goal kick. And again, time continues to ebb away. And Roma just seems short of answers in this match. There's still time, though, if they can seize it. Brecken heads on. And out for a Roma throw-in on the far side. Flicked over the corner by Giuliano. Here come AS Roma. Carelli into the penalty area looking for Pilgrim. And that's cleared away. Heatley. Greggy sends it forwards, cut out well by Tanebo. Here is Tvedson, tidy footwork from Tvedson, who gets away from Greggy. Great drive here from the Valerenga wide player into Cisse. Here come Valerenga. Holds the ball up now, slowing it down. And there's an offside flag anyway up on Cisse. Yeah, Cisse just seemed to go a little early there. Two minutes of additional time in this match. And that's not a lot of time, especially in the modern day, for Roma to do much with. Ball into the penalty area, headed away. Drops now for Giuliano. And now cleared. Not far away enough, though, from Valerenga. Save it, can't quite hold on to it against Greggy. Oladipo now. Out to Vea, who puts it into the area, headed away well. And back now to Emblem. Vea. Out to the left-hand side. Here is Katrina Vea. Lays it into the area. Headed down and then cleared away well by Tvedson. Here is Savic, who brings that down well. Cisse making the run ahead. Good challenge from the recovering Dragoni. But Valerenga with no rush to take this throw in. And they're just going to go down the line, you'd assume. 30 seconds left of action in this match. Hansen now sends it up the line. Pilgrim can't quite get there. Knocked out of play by Katrina Vea. The seconds ticking away now for Roma. And what a 3 points this would be for Valerenga. And AS Roma staring down the barrel of yet another disappointing defeat in the Women's Champions League. Saving wants to go down the right-hand side. Brought down by Carelli. Valerenga free kick. And this is going nowhere you'd expect. Savic. We'll let Hansen come and take it. Rolls it to Savic, and that is the full-time whistle here in Italy. Roma 0, Valerenga 1. And that is a huge 3 points in the Women's Champions League for Valerenga. Their first points of the campaign. Roma remain pointless. And that is a tough pill to swallow for Roma. AS Roma 0, Valerenga 1. Big, big victory. The decisive goal coming in the first 45 minutes. As Brecken slashed one home from outside the area. And Roma frustrated in defeat. Valerenga elated by victory. That's where I'm going to round up this coverage. We'll be back in 12 minutes for Bayern. Not for Bayern, sorry, that is tomorrow. We'll be live in 12 minutes for Wolfsburg taking on OL Lyonnais. Head on over to that stream page now, and I'll see you over there in 12 minutes' time. Thanks, everyone that's tuned in for this early stream, and I'll see you in a moment.